Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Just as Planned TV show and podcast. Now, I'm excited because we are really trying to do something a little bit different. So you're probably wondering why there's two of us here. Well, I want to introduce myself first. My name is Kristin Sullivan. I'm the CEO and founder of Just as Planned. But I also want to introduce who is actually going to be the host of our future episodes, the very beautiful Kristin Sullivan. So thank you, beautiful, for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to do this with you. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, and I love it. Like, we've known each other, I reckon it's been more than 12 months now. And, we've done some collaborations and that together. And I love your passion and energy for the wedding industry. And this is why I'm so grateful that you've, accepted to be the host of the show. So thank you so much for doing this. But just to share your passion with the world, because as we've discussed, there's so much happening, especially with COVID and restrictions and that, but also too that I think the wedding industry has really started to have a shift and a change. And one of the things is that we're trying to make it so much more personal. So this is one of the reasons why we're doing this. So the people watching this and listening to it get to actually meet the vendors this way, opposed to like the first meeting. And then they can find out about their passion, they can find out why they did it, more about their business, and we get to bring some amazing hints and tips to everybody as well, just to help them plan that amazing special day.
I love it. And I love that it's worldwide, it's global. So we all get to share little tidbits of things that are going around all around the world. And whether it's a tradition or a new trend or something just you might not know about, or your local vendor might not know about. So this is just such a great way to be able to spread the love everywhere.
Absolutely. So before we dive in just a little bit more, do you want to share with everyone a little bit about yourself and your amazing business that you have? And then we'll just sort of, take it from there and ask a few questions of each other as well.
Sure, absolutely. So I've been in the wedding business for 25 years. That seems so long when I say it out loud. Primarily destination weddings have been my thing forever. I absolutely had a big passion for travel and wanted to incorporate that into my career. And so after having a bit of a challenging wedding myself, I decided I never wanted a bride to go through what I went through for a destination wedding, and set out to make it my mission to help as many people as I could not have that experience. So that's how I got started. It's been an amazing journey. It's been 25 years of worldwide destinations. I have recently, in the past 2 years, started to do retreats for brides where they come and actually do a little mind work with yoga, meditation, healthy eating, just get themselves really prepared to enjoy the process of wedding planning so that it's not stressful for them. I also have a retail line now with a bunch of planning tools for not just brides and grooms, but also for planners now. So I'm all about supporting each other. We've been through such a crazy past year and a half, and we have to be there for each other, which is another thing I love about this series that you have launched, is that it's a collaboration between all of us worldwide again, so we can all help lift each other up.
Yeah, I love it. And I think the best thing about it, like you just said, is that we're sharing our passion, because like, honestly, for me, I love stories. I love hearing the stories of people, of why they're doing it, what motivate them. And most of the time it comes from either seeing something that they've realized is a gap, or a personal experience. Like both you and I, we have had that personal experience and then realized, you know what? I don't want anyone else to go through what we went through, and ready to sort of help change and inspire other people. So thank you so much for sharing. And, I simply adore you, and I'm super excited for all of this. And I think this is one of the best things that is really going to set us apart, is the fact that it is global. So I'm based in Australia. Kristin's actually based over in the States. So we're very fortunate that we've already been opened up to 2 global markets already. And, really starting to I guess sort of cohesively combine, you know, the wedding industry from around the world, because I know myself that I've spoken to people who, you know, their children live overseas, but they still want to be involved in the wedding planning business. But, you know, there are some terms that get, you know, shared around that are a little bit different over in the States compared to here, and, you know, vice versa. So we're going to be able to break down, I guess, a little bit about that language, but also too, they can, you know, jump on, watch an episode and go, hey, I really love this vendor. What do you think? And they can watch the stories and that together as well. And I think it is really going to help, you know, bring the families together and make it, you know, that beautiful planning process, you know, harmonious. I think that's the right word that I'm looking
Yeah.
for, you know, like
I
just to
love that
bring
word.
it. Yeah. And, you know, just to bring it, because it, like you said, it is a very stressful time when you're planning a wedding, but you want everyone to feel the love that that's what the day is all about. And this is why I'm so excited that we actually get to spread the love even more with everybody.
It's so true. Everyone does want to be involved. I actually, prior to talking with you today, I was on a call with 4 people, 2 moms and a bride and groom. And it's challenging. It's challenging to get people, they're all in different time zones. And so it's challenging to get them on a call together and to get them just on the same page together. People are coming home from work, or they're dealing with their pets, or they're trying to make dinner. But I feel like Justice Plan will give them an opportunity to go back and even watch it together. If they miss one of our episodes, they can say, hey, I saw this on this episode, go watch this and see what you think. I think that's just the beauty of technology now. As much as I know it seems to be painful after the past year and a half that we sit on Zoom calls still, or we do this, but it also connects us where we would probably never be able to connect these dots prior without being in person together, which is really hard to do right now with travel.
Yeah, absolutely. I was having a conversation with my son, and he's like, oh, I'll just text you and I'll see you. And then they send me photos of my grandson and all of that. And then I'm thinking, okay, when I was his age, we really didn't even have mobile phones, like, you know, like all that sort of stuff. So the technology is just like astounding of what we can actually do, and to be able to bring that to the world, and you sit there and you're like going, wow, we can have this beautiful conversation, like here we are, like completely so many oceans apart, you know, and have a beautiful conversation. So this is, you know, that's why I'm also excited about it. So I want to ask you just a couple of questions, you know, so people get to know you a little bit about it. But what do you see as, you know, brides come to you to help, you know, plan their wedding and that, and is there one particular question that you get asked multiple times, and it's almost like it's a given because some people just don't know how to plan, or the fact that they're just so overwhelmed with everything that needs to be done?
Absolutely. I feel like there's a lot of common questions. And I think probably the hardest part for people is the guest list. And it obviously is one of the very initial steps. And it leads to everything that happens, because the number of people you invite leads to your budget, you know, and that's really what it comes down to. And sometimes I think people maybe don't want to talk about the budget right away. So the guest list is the first question because it obviously leads into it.
Yeah.
But it does determine if you have 500 people that you're trying to invite between families. That's a really large wedding, and that's a really larger budget. So a lot of people come to me to pare that down because they think, if I'm going to have a destination wedding, is that going to change everything? And the answer is yes, because obviously you're not going to get 500 people if that's your guest list to travel.
Mm.
That would be lovely, but I don't think that I've ever had anybody have that many people travel for a wedding.
Yeah.
So the average is about 75%, which is another big question. So it's guest list, how do I pare it down? How many people are actually going to come from people that I do invite? And what is the cost? And you really have to dive backwards into that cost number. So for me, I can throw out a number. I can tell you what an average cost is, but I don't know that those are the things that are important to you that you're going to allocate those certain line items to. So I always find out, I do a really kind of a deep dive with them in the very beginning. Tell me what's important to you. Usually it's photography, because that's what you have to take with you, which is another burning question all the time. What do we take pictures of? What should our photo list be? And again, they haven't been through this before, so of course they don't know, and they're going to ask. Secondly is usually music. So people normally want live music, or they want a DJ, or they want a combination of both. And those are kind of the two big things. Or also, do I need video? And for me, I always say video the ceremony, because it goes by so fast, as you know, and you forget. You're like, I don't even know what anyone looked like. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I said. And I always say it's very sweet to be able to look back on that moment and remember, which is what it all should be about, to have that.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, because there is always confusion, who's going to pay sometimes, if we do traditional, the bride's parents pay for this and the groom's parents pay for that. But also too, I feel like we need to get back to, what's the feeling you actually want to have on your wedding day? Like, what do you want to feel? And I mean, we all say we want love, but is it that you want everyone to be in party mode and celebrate because that's going to set the theme? Are you wanting it to be soft and romantic and, or casual? Because that then takes the wedding to a whole different level as well. And there's so much, like, there's so much information out there for people. There's so many magazines and that as well. So it's more for me, I like knowing about, what feeling do you want to capture? What, how do you want to feel? But I love the point that you said about photography and also filming it, because filming really wasn't around when I got married. But so I'm really showing my age right now, but like, photography is so important. And it's the style that you want, because they're the memories that you can take forever as well, and you share them with your kids, then you share them with your grandchildren, and for me, that is part of your legacy that you have as well. So I think that the amazing points that you just did, so thank you.
Yeah, I always tell people, what would you want to hang on your walls? Like, think about it's your art, it's your history, it is your story. So think about what you want to hang on your walls and what you want to have to take away from those moments. I can tell you what the key shots are, but you really need to know what you want to look at for the rest of your life in your home, and for your children as well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, obviously, I love the fact that you also talk about sort of mindfulness, and, you do the yoga, the meditation and all of that. And I'm a huge believer, that's part of my daily routine and that. So how have you seen then brides transform from, I know how stressful it can get, like, even just planning an event is stressful, but, planning a wedding, how have you seen them transform by applying those sort of mindfulness sort of techniques as well, to really then enjoy the planning stage of the wedding?
It's honestly amazing. And again, I can only reflect back on my own journey. I took some time off to shift from planning to the retreats, and I didn't know I was going into the retreats. I thought I was just going to write a book. And when I started to write that book and really start to do the practices of yoga and meditation and journaling and looking inward, was when I realized that I needed to do these retreats, that this is what that missing link was. That at the end of a wedding, they would come up to me and say, I wish I would have listened to you. It was amazing. It was beyond expectations. And I stressed out for no reason. And you try to help them and explain that to them through that whole process, but they're stuck. And so I needed to get people unstuck. And that's how I created the retreats. And the transition for them is just amazing, because you're creating relationships and curating relationships that you have to live with for the rest of your life. So all of this stress that you start out with right away with in-laws, over guest lists, over budgets, over simple things that really don't mean anything, this changes when you actually change your thought process, as you know.
Yeah.
For anything, when you start to journal out your thoughts and meditate on what you really want to do and what's really important and communicate. I mean, we can't use the word communicate enough, because that's where all the problems happen, when we don't communicate or we don't tell someone how we're actually feeling about something. And brides tend to be that caretaker. They want to make sure it's perfect for everyone, when they really need to be. And again, as people, we all need to do this first. We need to take care of ourselves first. Otherwise, we can't take care of anyone else. And so that healthy journey inward is just amazing at the difference when it actually is the end of the experience. And they're like, I was not stressed out. I can honestly say I was not stressed out. And that's a really powerful thing. It doesn't happen a lot. I'm hoping to obviously transition many more people down that road, but it's great. I don't get texts from some people at 2 a.m. panicking about a linen color. It's just a different client when they go through that experience.
And I think what I love most about it is that it's a tool that they can use forever. So it's not just, for the wedding. There's so many other things that's going to come, planning, anniversaries, it's planning kids' birthday parties. Like, it's all this sort of stuff that you can then use forever. So I think it's such an essential tool. And I think it's a great gift that you're giving everybody, because it just keeps giving, because they can learn from it and then they can share that with other people as well.
And that's so true. And I also try to let them know that this is something that they can carry into work relationships with now. They can carry this on with a aspect of the retreats is healthy eating and how to meal prep. And that obviously comes into your marriage. Now you're cooking for 2 people. Now you have 2 schedules. So it's just things that you can take with you. There's joy consultancy is a part of it. Meal prepping, meditation, yoga. You can do yoga and meditation together as a couple now. How cool is that? Where you might not be doing that leading up to the wedding. You might still have your separate schedules, but now you can come to do that as a married couple. And I think that's really special as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to sort of, as we sort of close off, because I know, like, you and I could talk forever. We've had many composite Zoom calls where it's like, oh my God, we've been an hour on here already. But I wanted to sort of ask you, obviously, over your, career, what has been the biggest thing that you've seen change in the wedding industry?
Oh, that is a good one. Well, I think for me, what is amazing is that, and again, I attribute this to technology, is that someone doesn't have to be present actually and be part of your ceremony. So I have a lot of situations now where grandparents are not traveling, and I have a wedding coming up in the Bahamas in February, and the grandmother is still going to be able to see her granddaughter, be married, although she can't travel. And for me, that is just something you can't pay enough money for, to be able. It's an experience, right? It's something that they've always thought about, something they've always wanted. And generally, yes, it's happened probably in the past few years, it's become bigger. But for me, in 25 years, that's just something that I don't think that you could take away. I think it's just amazing. I think especially for an older person who might be afraid of an iPhone or might be afraid of a laptop, people are still very skittish sometimes if they're older about technology. But to be able to connect with your family and people that you love, I think changes everything for them. And that's the biggest thing that I have seen. Outside of an industry just really coming together after a year and a half of what we've gone through, that is probably the other extraordinary change that really like hits home for me. Because I always used to say that it was such an industry where people were very standoffish. They didn't want to share their information. They didn't want to collaborate together. And now I really feel a shift in that. And that is amazing to me. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's just, a beautiful thing that's happened regardless of where we are, the way the technology is changing, the way that everyone's coming together. So I just want to say thank you so much for, again, co-hosting the episodes going forward for Just as Planned. So everyone, you're going to be able to get to know Kristin so much more. We're going to pop all the details where you can reach out to her. Her retreat that she does is absolutely amazing. I recommend anybody who is getting married, planning a wedding, to go ahead and do it, because the tools that you will learn there are forever, and that is something that money cannot buy as well. So thank you so much, beautiful, for being the host, being here today, and for the very first episode of the Just as Planned TV show and podcast.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me be part of it, and it's going to be a lot of fun over the next year for sure.
And thank you to everyone who has joined us for this episode. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any questions, oh my goodness, pop them below. Make sure you follow us on social media, because we have some amazing things that are coming in the next couple of months as well. And just remember that your wedding day can go just as planned. Love and light to you all.